Well, Drew, thank you for coming on the show. Good to have you. We've known each other for a long time, and I always thought your story was pretty interesting because you came from the East Coast, became a big fish in a small pond, so to speak, right?
Am
And
I a big fish though? I don't know if I'm a big
I
fish.
don't know. Yeah, I like to call you the Hitch of private events,
Oh boy,
right?
Hitch. I like that though.
But I guess for the audience, just share a little bit about yourself, how you came about here, and
Oh man. Um, hey, what's up, everybody? One, thank you for having me here.
yeah.
I appreciate it. I waited a while for my invitation, but we're not going to talk about that. Um, Born and raised in Orange, New Jersey, to two immigrant parents. I'm first generation born. My sister and I, parents came here from Haiti, so sac passe to all my Haitian massive. But grew up on the East Coast. Was a, I mean, the area I grew up in, not the best area. We migrated for high school to a
hmm
better area, but I spent my youth in Orange, New Jersey. I think we're not going to give statistics, but we're up there on that list of
on that
violent
list.
places.
So describe like how violent.
Um,
What are we
so
talking about
so
here?
currently it's worse. Like when you're living in an area,
hmm
you don't really know because that's all you know.
Right.
So like we're talking 80s. I used to wake up in the morning, hop on my bike, leave at like 9 a.m. And as long as I was back home by 7 when the street
hmm
lights came on, I was out in the streets. We were out riding bikes. Our parents had no idea. We were like 5, 10 miles away from home,
hmm
building ramps in the woods and doing dumb, reckless stuff, drinking out of water hoses. I mean, it was the 80s. You did what you
Yeah.
wanted to do. You go back now as an adult, I drive through the neighborhood and I'm like, yo, okay, dang. But, it's gotten worse. But at the same time, as you grow and experience new things, you don't really realize where you were, where you started until you go
hmm
back and visit it.
Yeah, it's interesting you said about drinking from hoses. That's what we did on the islands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know there was basketball shoes. I was playing flip flops.
Dude, wait, let me tell you a funny story, though. Let me tell you a funny story, though. I go to Starbucks yesterday, not
yeah.
to go off track. I go to Starbucks yesterday, and I have Naomi, my 4-year-old, with me.
hmm
And these 3 kids pull up on their dirt bikes out front, and they come inside the Starbucks, and they're like, hey, can we get a glass of water? And the Starbucks person, like, pulled them ice water. And I'm like, these kids will never understand
Yeah.
the struggle of leaving the house all day in the heat and drinking out of water hoses. Like
Right.
there was no free water. You weren't getting
Yeah.
ice water they used to charge you for cups in the hood.
And you could still taste the PVC from the water.
Oh, dude. Oh. But yeah, sorry to sidetrack.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, grew up in Jersey, high school. I was the big, sports star guy.
hmm
Football, basketball, track, started Excel, won a few state championships and did some cool things and earned myself a full ride scholarship to University of Washington.
Yeah.
And that's how I got out here.
Now you came out here during the Rose Ball team.
95. Nah.
95. Yeah.
So after that, I ain't that
After
old. Comment,
yeah.
pump the brakes. But got out here. I was a freshman in 95.
Yeah.
So right after they off the probation period.
Mm.
But yeah, good times at Husky. We had good times at UW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that like transitioning from the East Coast to the West Coast?
A lot of learnings, man. I had to learn to slow down.
Yeah.
West Coast people are notorious. You guys are slow and it's mellow and it's chill. And I'm a go, go, go. And you
Mhm.
know me, I'm still go, go, go,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've learned how to mellow it out. There was a lot of times my coach, shout out Orrin Richburg, used to be like, yo, man, we need to have a talk. Calm it
Mhm.
down. Because people on the West Coast will automatically label you as aggressive.
Mm.
It's not I'm aggressive. It's I want to get ish done. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, yo, let's just get it done.
Why do you think that is though?
It's just a West Coast thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Y'all smoke funny weed out here. The surfing down in LA, the
Yeah, there's
grunge,
no
the way.
surfing up here, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just the West Coast is always late. I always
Mhm.
say, and I find this to be true. People will leave the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest included, go to the East Coast, and they always come back.
Mm.
Right. But a person on the East Coast can leave and go anywhere. And as long as they can adapt, they'll make it.
Interesting. So, after college.
Man, after college, so in college, I say I turned into that guy that learn how to throw parties.
Okay.
During my athletic time at UW, we weren't allowed to have jobs. If you were on a full ride scholarship, you weren't allowed to have a job. They gave us, I think, a little over 700 a month to cover your rent, living expenses, and all that. That wasn't enough, so we used to come up with ways to throw parties, and that migrated into promoting nightclubs and throwing bigger parties, and that migrated into.
So what was your first club at
Ooh,
that you ran?
So shout out to Julio and Big Kev. I was a sophomore at UW. I stayed out for Christmas break. I think it was to train. Instead of going home for Christmas, I stayed out here. And one of my coach's son, Julio, and his partner at the time had a club out in Bothell called Tommy Africa's.
Tommy Africa.
Sunday nights at Tommy Africa's. And they were like,
and this is old Bothell.
Is old. It's a daycare now, man. It's a daycare. I drive by it all the time. I'm like, people are dropping their kids off at a spot that we did. Lord knows what at.
Whoever else that understands the dynamics.
They have no idea.
And the shift in lifestyle. It's probably the same kids that, same parents.
The parents,
with
exactly, dropping their kids off there going, ooh, we had a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, they hired me they needed someone on campus that can hand out flyers. Back then, we're talking pre-emails and social media back. We actually had to go out and flyer, right?
So you just like blanket the parking lot?
Not even close. It was being an athlete in the athletic department, and UW is very segregated. People don't want to hear it. It's true. Majority of the Black people on campus are athletes, right? It is what it is, right? Let's just be real. And then you have
the next Bill Gates is not really at UW.
Probably
as a
not.
Black man. No.
Probably not. They're probably coming out of HBCU, to be real.
Okay.
But UW was like the athletes, and we kind of all migrated together because we came here from different places. I'm from Jersey. We had guys from Texas and from a lot of guys from Cali, Florida, whatever. You're all, that's your family. So that's your ecosystem right there. And then you had like the frat boys and the this and that and all the other groups. But everybody wanted to hang out with the athletes, right? So my job was to be like, yo, this is the new spot, we going. And then it's a trickle-down effect. These guys go, these people want to be close to these guys, they go, and you kind of learn. So I was running the door at a spot called Tommy Africa's, and I was 19 years old. And anyone that knows me knows I don't drink. I'm not a big drinker. Yeah. So while everybody, you'll notice in that nightlife crowd, a lot of guys do it because it's access to women, free drinks, get to meet the girls, and you're a big man on campus. I had fun, but I don't drink. So I was focused on the business end. At the end of the night, it's like, I'm not working for free. Like, I want my money type. So you learn the business. And so I was watching what those guys do, taking notes. I do this better. I change this. I do this. And that also put me in a space where, back then that was the Sonic era, Vin Baker and Gary Payton and all those guys and the Seahawks. And, we had 3 teams actually in Seattle, right? The Sonics, the Seahawks, and the Mariners. You're meeting these guys and they know your face and they recognize you, and you're the homie now, right? You're always taking care of them at the door. You're the homie now. So I took that, migrated into years later, opening my own spot. And those guys came.
Which spot was that?
First spot that I did independently on myself was a spot called Tommy's on the Ave.
Okay.
Wednesday nights at Tommy's. And that was, I was doing a Tuesday night at a spot where someone else started it. They brought me in. I didn't think I was getting paid my worth. I gave them the ultimatum, like, yo, I want X or I'll leave. Yeah. And their attitude was then go. So I left.
This is like corporate America.
It's like corporate America.
Yeah.
So I left. I bet on me. I started a new spot, and we had a solid 4-year run. Had everybody. I had Snoop perform there, Benzino, P. Did. We can't say that word. Never mind. Mark Curry.
That guy.
That guy. So, but we became the staple. We had a 4-year run where we're doing Wednesday nights. People come on a Wednesday night. We had people coming down from Bellingham in Canada.
Wow.
They'll go to a nightclub, or coming up from Portland.
What were you making back then?
Good money.
Well, define good money.
Put like
I mean, that was
simple,
back then.
simple
It's
math.
unclassified information.
Yeah. So
by now.
So the nightclub industry back then, there was no bottle service and all that stuff,
Okay.
right? Back then, you just paid your cover and come in. So, average person is probably paying $15 a cover, and you're putting about 350, 400 people in the club on a Wednesday.
That's good money. So nowadays, promoters are getting a percentage of sales.
There are no promoters nowadays.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
It's social media.
the whole Belltown is just
It's social media. I have a whole theory on that, on the demise of the nightclub and how it got away in the early days. And you know this. Seattle had a vibrant nightlife, right? There was something to do every night of the week, but it was run by promoters, right? And you knew what crowd went with what promoter. So if you wanted to go risk your life and do some hood stuff, you went to that party, right?
Like how you say risk your life.
You know what it is. Like, you're like, yo, I want to go to this party. I'm going to go to this party on Capitol Hill, and you know what the vibe was. You go to Pioneer Square, you knew what the vibe was going to be. There was different vibes in different places, right?
Yeah.
And different promoters that went with that. I personally feel with social media became access to everything, right? So now with social media, every venue is exactly the same. They play the same kind of music. They're all fighting. It's the same vibe. It's the same looking people. There's if I want to go somewhere and just have like a neo soul and a vibe experience, where do I go? There is nowhere, because everybody that opens a venue is trying to compete with that guy. I want that crowd. Let's get them to come over here instead of taking the risk, betting on yourself and creating your own, new vibe.
Creating your own blue ocean strategy.
So that's why there's no nightlife now, because you go to social media. And the flip side of that, I say the dangerous side of that as well, is that whereas I knew what my crowd and demographic was, because again, I'm promoting to this people that I know personally, right? Same interests, look like me, same kind of jobs, this and that. So I knew, like, I'm creating this vibe that's X. I don't know dudes that shoot up clubs personally. Yeah. But now with social media, those dudes just got to see a photo of your venue or your spot, and then they want to go show up because that's where the girls and the honeys at. And now you have all this drama everywhere, right? It used to be like, if I went to X club, like we had a Seahawk that got hit in the head with a sign. Remember that?
That was Ken Hamlin, right?
Yeah. Not go drop names on clubs or whatever, but we knew what it was. Like if you went to that venue and went to that night, that's what you run the risk of. Or you can go to another club and not run the risk of it. Some people, like, that's why I say some people are okay risking their lives for a good time.
Right.
It is what it is. So, but it's nightlife for me, open doors. But again, I treat it like a business. I still have my day job, my corporate job.
Yeah,
right.
You're doing what, medical sales back then?
Started off in media sales, into capital equipment sales, medical sales, and just learning business, traveling. Back then I had a 5-state territory, so be gone all week, come back, club night, party, and bounce again. Yeah.
So what was the catalyst for changing that up? Right.
Growth.
From club promoting to private events.
Growth.
Growth.
Again, as a person that doesn't drink, there's only so many times you can stay out to 2 a.m. with a bunch of drunk people. Yeah. And just be like, great money. Yeah. But then you're just like,
start to get annoyed.
It is what it is. And I did it. It served a purpose. It opened doors and opportunities. And I've always, and you and I've had this conversation through the years. Like the goal is to keep getting better. Yep. Not keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Right?
You evolved.
Right. So I did what I did, I think at a fairly high level, for a long period of time. And it's what's next. And as opportunities, I've always been the person that's like, say yes and figure it out later. So as opportunities came up, like, hey, I have a charity event we're doing, or we have X, or my company wants to do this, and da-da-da-da-da. You think you can do it? Yeah. And then figure it out. And I've had way more wins than not. And then your name just gets thrown in that hat to say, hey, we got a guy, right? You got a guy, but I'm not doing anything for less than X. Yeah. And
what was that first event that you did that helped in that transition?
I mean, I started off with weddings.
Weddings. Okay.
right? Homies started getting married. Same people that were, and again, like I said, you build your own.
Tavi's daycare.
Literally. Like I said, it's your network is your net worth. Right? I firmly believe that. Anyone that knows me knows that. If you're on my social, I always say that, build your net worth. All right. And I also think that your group of friends should reflect where you're going, not where you came from. That whole like no new friends, throw that in the trash. I'm for real. Like your friends should look like where you're headed, and everybody on the boat with you should be headed somewhere. If you're stagnant or still living in high school, or what we did in 2002, right? Like if I was still dressing like I did back in 2001, living off of, I was a club promoter. I wouldn't be on your podcast right now.
Right.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Right. So,
although JNCOs are in style right now,
they're not. They're not.
They are. Check it out.
No, we're not. We're not going there, Tony. We're not going there. And if I see you wearing them, we will have a problem. But it's to me. To answer your question, it's growth. Right. It was got to a point where, why am I doing this? Like I would leave the house, get in the car, pull up to the club, and give myself a pep talk.
Power yourself up.
Yeah, all right, let's go. And once you're doing that, you're like, why are you doing it? Other than you're chasing the cash, right? But I started off,
which
weddings.
proves the point, right? Anyone that's doing anything, it can't just be about the money.
That's
because at some point, you'll get demotivated.
Yeah, you got to find your why.
You're not going to be inspired anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we started off doing weddings, and that morphed into, I think, I want to say one of the first weddings I did was phone call. Yo, Drew, man, I popped the question. Yo, you think you could do the wedding? And Neil, DJ whatever, is one of my best friends. White DJ in Seattle that plays hip hop, R&B, and looks like John B. It's hilarious. But was in a high school band though, like not the hip hop hit. He's an oxymoron. It's hilarious. But
and you still work with him.
Oh, that's my guy. I love that guy. He's my brother. Like that guy, he's probably one of two people that's ever flown to New Jersey, stayed at my parents' house, and kicked it with me on the East Coast. But yeah, we started doing private events, and then you do one. If you do it right, I don't advertise. So to this date, I've never had a website. Never had a website. If you know me, you know me.
That's why I call you the hitch.
Yeah. Like if you know me, you know me. If you don't, I'm okay with that. Right. And you do an event. I think if you do it well, there's always hey, can I get your card? Get my card. And then that leads into a corporate event. And I gave my card away to this one lady, beautiful lady. I wound up doing her daughter's wedding, like 2 other family weddings, and a corporate event.
Wow.
Off one card off a wedding. I've done a charity event, handed off a card that turned into, I think we did 5 or 6 year run of doing their galas. Like if you do your job right and do what you're doing, it's just going to lead to business. It
also led to, you handle the Microsoft Celebrity Sports.
Oh, that's something, again, relationships.
Yeah.
Someone, the person, won't drop names, but the person or admin group that's in charge of that used to party at my nightclubs.
Yeah.
And they got older. Right. As everyone gets older and they have different responsibilities, it's like, hey, we have an idea, Drew. Can we sit down and talk? And then we put together a Pros versus Joes event for him, annual event, which is fun.
Yeah.
But it's, again, everything is relationship built. If you do what you're going to do at a level that you say you're going to do it at, if you come through, I firmly believe that you'll be rewarded with more business and doing things, just doing stuff the right way.
Yeah. So what are you working on now?
Man. So, professional life was blessed. Last year, I was tasked with starting and running the Seattle Sea Dragon franchise for the XFL. I was the vice president of team business and event operations. So amazing. Got to work with the people at Lumen Field, elevate my game to a different level. Like it's one thing to do events. It's another thing to do sporting events, another thing to do charity events. But running your own professional franchise, having them TV
one of the
ready.
highest levels of sports. But even that, right? When we talked about that, it was your name was being thrown around unbeknownst to you.
Yeah.
You didn't even apply to the job till somebody said, hey, your name came up. We want to interview you.
Yeah.
So you were sought after.
Yeah. Crazy story. And
Yeah.
again, firm believer. If you do what you're going to do, do what you say you're going to do, right? That was, I found out who the person was after the fact, but my name got thrown in a hat from two different people. My then boss reached out to me on LinkedIn, like, hey, your name came up. Would you be open to a conversation? About 5 or 6 interviews later, I was the vice president of the team.
Yeah.
But ran that franchise. But with that, I have 2 projects that people know me very well for. So one is the Seattle Polo Party. It's the annual polo party. Cameron Smith, the founder of the Seattle Polo Club. We were introduced, we're going on year 9 now. So a mutual friend was like, hey, I have this guy that wants to throw this big event. I think you'd be perfect for it. And I'm like, I don't know anything about polo. You crazy?
You said yes.
Say yes. Figure it out later. That's motto.
You know, that's an interesting thing, because in the corporate world, there's so many walls. Like if they just gave people an opportunity, you might find
that's the gatekeeping, though.
Yeah,
and I see that in a professional world. It's the gatekeeper. They don't want to give opportunity. In my opinion, it's the good old boys. You hear it's called the good old boys club or whatever. You have to find a different way through that door and become friends with or what. But
because even in my business, you know, I've emailed the NBA, the NFL, NHL professional, like they don't want outside people in that door.
You need to hitch or be connected with someone that brings you in that door with them.
Yeah,
this is my guy. You know, LeBron brought his guy with him.
Yeah, and that guy
now he's
didn't
the
know
best.
Anything about the sport.
But he brought his guy with him. They taught him. Now he's the best, highest paid and best agent in the NBA. I think he just married Adele.
Adele?
Yeah. Like, dude, he's winning at life right now.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm saying sometimes it's the relationships you build. They bring you into a room or a door. And then from there, once you're doing what you do, they're forced to recognize your gift, your skill. Some will hate on you. Others will be like, yo, that's our guy. Let's roll with it.
Yeah.
The
and
hardest
even that
part
guy,
is getting in that door.
He learned.
Yeah.
He learned along the way.
You learned.
Just same with your opportunity.
With me, every opportunity I've had, whether it's, you know, professional sports, you know, I was part of the team that did Richard Sherman's celebrity softball game back in the day, taught me a lot. But even in that, it was like, yo, we're doing this event and we need an event guy to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Huh? Say yes, figure it out later.
Yeah.
And I promise you, when I say yes, I'm going to win more times than I lose.
And then how many Black people are running a polo event? Maybe 1, 2?
I might be. There's a heard, I think Atlanta, there was a group trying to do it in Atlanta or have done it. But going on 9 years strong and on the West Coast, I'm the unicorn.
Like, you should be wearing a unicorn hat.
That's just right. Yeah, probably a unicorn hat. Yeah. Lone wolf,
but describe that experience of saying yes and then sitting down with Cam. And mind you, Cameron is running a big business at the time, and he's looking at you and it's like, this is my guy.
He trusts me. I mean, it's one, you have to have a trusted partner. All right. 2, I know what my strengths are. I know he knows what his strengths are. That way you're not, you know, I'm going to do what I do. You do what you do. We meet in the middle and we make this thing happen. Right?
But he gave you a shot. If you think
he gave me an opportunity.
Right? And I think that's the key thing, because and I'm sure you told him you don't know about polo, but you'll figure it out.
I told him, I was like, I don't know about polo and I'm scared to lose. Like, I don't want to lose your money. Right.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, oh, no, I'll handle the polo side. Like, I need help with the event side. And I'm like, all right, an event is an event is an event. It's just scaled.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The same, you know, people like to put titles when we talk about this or put you in a box or what have you, right? And things I've learned is like that guy that's a club promoter that's out there hustling, a little different now with social media. Like, I'm talking about the old school guys, where before social media, where you had to find 400 or 500 people to come to your nightclub, and you had no email list, no text message list, and no social media. You had to go out and fly your cars. You had to have relationships. You had to know, like, I don't need to know everybody. I need to know, hey, Tony, if I invite you, your whole group of 20 goes where you go.
Yeah.
I need to know that person in each group of friends. I don't need to know everybody.
Yeah, for the Genesis fights, I think I helped you fly your cars.
We used to go out and fly our cars for Genesis fights, you know. Shout out Matt Hume, woo woo. You know, but that was the old school hustle. That's how you got people moving. In the 90s and 2000, you used to leave a nightclub and it'd be like 20 flyers on your car.
Yeah.
That's how we got the message out that there was a party. And then you built from there, it was email lists. When emails, like early 2000, you started building email lists, right? But not everybody had access to email or what, but you had to, it evolved, right? Now it's easy. I'll put a Facebook post up, a social media post.
Get a MailChimp account.
Yeah, you know, way easier now. But that work ethic of people who did that years ago, I will take that hustle and you can put it anywhere. Like same thing, you can take a drug dealer, hate to say it, a dude that's a drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
Put him in corporate America, clean him up, and teach him the game. His hustle will probably will outwork most guys coming out of MBA degrees.
Yeah, they'd be good for Amazon right now. They're expert logistics people.
No, I'm just saying. But a person that can figure it out on their own with with limited tools they have and win and be profitable. Now you give them actual tools and access and the resources they need. How are they not going to win?
Yeah. But it's the gatekeepers.
Life is about gatekeepers figuring out. And I see that on I still get gatekeeped. I get gatekeeped every day. And I got to figure out new ways around it and how to navigate.
Why do you think that is? Is it fear on the other side of somebody coming in? The fear of the unknown?
When I worked in capital equipment sales, I worked in copier sales, and medical sales. We would always say, find any salesperson, they'll tell you, a person that owns a $1 million company, multi-million-dollar company, lets an employee they pay $12 an hour make decisions on who they talk to and not talk to. Make that make sense.
Yeah.
Make that make sense. You allow a person, you pay a person you wouldn't give a checkbook to, a corporate credit card to, right? No, they wouldn't make any large decisions in your business. Make a decision on who you talk to and don't talk to, because the person you talk to could probably impact your business for the positive. Like, I think companies need to come up with a better solution than just having a gatekeeper. And that's one side of it, right? Yeah. And then on the other side, you just have people that are power hungry. Like, they have their group of friends. All right. I see that in the nonprofit world when it comes to dealing with companies that give out grants or give out this and that. They'll give it out to the same 4 or 5 people.
Yep.
If this person leaves and goes to another company, they'll start doing business with that company. So they're taking care of their friends instead of, fulfilling their promises to community or this or that.
Fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the game. So it's humans are humans and they're going to human.
That's a good quote.
I think it's just reality.
Yeah.
Humans are humans and they're going to human. You can't. There's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is.
Yeah. So you got the Polo Party. You're 9 years in.
Yeah, that's coming up.
What was what were some of the challenges you faced, and what were some of the wins? Because I know it's grown so much since then.
Challenges. You got a black dude from Jersey running around Seattle and Bellevue talking about, hey, I'm throwing a polo party an hour south of Seattle. Would you like to sponsor my event?
Yeah.
Polo in Seattle? That'll never work. If I had $1, first sponsor we had, I'll give a shout out, Stephen Goldfarb, Alvin Goldfarb Jewelers, and Shelly over there as well, that team. And that was because, again, I did their events. My relationship with them is that when they had their store downtown and they did in-store events, and I was their event guy that they contracted out to do stuff for them. So I had a relationship, and they were like, hey, we trust you. We want to see you win. So we're supporting you because you're doing this event. Now they're a major sponsor of the event. Year 9, they've been with me from the jump on this, right? And it's grown to other sponsors. There are people that I reached out to that didn't answer my email, right? And I see them at the Polo Party now, and they buy tickets and buy a table to attend. And I'm like, I'm not going to call you out, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, you can't even respond to an email. It's disrespectful.
It might have gone through the spam folder. I don't know.
People are going to people. Yeah. That's at the end of the day, people are going to people. So, but at the beginning, it was just getting people to listen. Like, we're doing polo here. Yeah, right. That's not going to happen. And
Yeah.
now we're year 9. There's still people that are like, whoa, there's polo here? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we wanted we're at a place now where we sell out.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be the right crowd. I don't want it to just be people coming because they want to come, because it changes. You've been a supporter for years. You've been a sponsor of the event.
Yep.
You know, we like that ecosystem we built.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a lot of wealth management and real estate investors and you know, our jewelry partner, and they use this event, high end cars.
Yeah.
We use this event for them to reward their clients or entertain clients.
Yep.
We want to maintain that level of excellence, right? I know that at any given time there's billionaires and millionaires and $100,000 heirs or whatever you want to call them, but there are people there, and it's not bougie like you would think it would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. You know, we have a great DJ. You know, Chris Karma comes out. We have a DJ. It's about fashion. We always have a giving back component. You know, this year we're partnered with After School All Stars. They get a percentage. We make a donation for that to them, and then we give them a percentage of beverage sales.
Okay.
You know, so
now tell us about After School All Stars, because you also hosted their gala this year.
No, I did
a fundraiser.
We did I was invited to do a panel, celebrity panel.
Yeah.
So Jordan Babineau, Seahawk legend, I got to interview him on stage on behalf of After School All Stars and talk about, you know, his upbringing. And After School All Stars is a nonprofit in the Puget Sound area, South Sound. They serve the South Sound, Kent, Federal Way area. They provide after school care and summer care that's free for underserved youth. I mean, that's essentially, but that after school care isn't like, let's go outside and play in the grass. They're teaching, it's a STEM program, you know, cooking, home ec programs, I think financial literacy programs. And they do some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So I was actually introduced to them by you.
Yeah. I know.
And then attended their gala. We donate. So with the Polo Party and then my other event, the Celebrity All-Star Classic, we'll donate packages to different nonprofits so that they can use them for their silent auctions or auction packages. So we did that. I attended the event as your guest, and I liked what they were doing. And I was just like, yo, let's have a talk. So this year they'll be our nonprofit partner.
That's awesome.
For the Seattle Polo Party. So anyone that comes to the Polo Party, when you pop those bottles and all that, you're helping raise money for this nonprofit.
Nice. So attendance wise, I mean, the first event was what, 300-400 people?
I say 400, and we're consistently at about 1,000 to 1,200. Like we've maxed out in terms of space. The goal is now each year to make it a tad different. You know, a few years ago we added
improve the experience.
Yeah. So, you know, our food was catered by STK the last 2 years.
Okay.
Nice restaurant in Bellevue. This year we have a private chef that's coming in and going to curate the food experience.
Oh, nice.
Changes the whole scene.
Yeah.
Like we've never had we had Ascend do it one year, another excellent restaurant, but we've always partnered with restaurants. We're like, yo, what happens if we bring in a celebrity chef or a James Beard award-winning chef and allow them to curate it and then partner with a catering company to back it up.
So like produce it.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, that changes the experience some, right? A few years ago, we added the corporate boxes. It was like it was all tables, and we're like, what happens if we create these box experiences similar to a suite at a game, right? So now companies can purchase this box, entertain up to 20 guests, right? And do their own thing, right? It worked. We added it. It works, you know? So every year it's like, what if, you know, this year, what if we add bottle service to those boxes so that now they can have bottle service at their box?
Yeah.
You know,
I know firsthand that's a godsend.
Yeah. So every year we sit down, you know, you do the mini SWOT analysis and figure out what worked, what didn't work, what's an area of opportunity, right? And then we try and improve the process.
Big shout out and a huge thank you to Zekin for making this happen. They have an amazing platform. Check out their website, zekin.com, zeacon.com.
Now you're also involved with you created the celebrity softball.
Co-founder, yes. Yep. So founded, brought in Kerry Carter, who's a retired Seahawk. He's the CEO of Advocacy, a sports tech company in Seattle, as a partner. Smart. You got to bring your smart friends with you. He's a Stanford grad, so football player and a Stanford grad.
I gotta get him on the show.
Yeah, you definitely got to get him on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, over COVID, as I mentioned earlier, I was part of the team that did the Richard Sherman Celebrity Softball game. It was actually he and Joe Tafoya that created that process, and then it's long story short, but there were the two, and then Kerry reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I want to bring you on. I need your help with X, Y, and Z," and it got me in there. So over COVID, with events being shut down and me just like dwindling, like started writing out different plans and different things, and wrote out. I designed a logo, secured URLs, the social media. I started just doing all these little bits and pieces and things, and kind of putting a whole idea together of our why and what we do. And called up Kerry and was like, "Yo, let's have coffee. This is what I'm doing. This is what it looks like. That are you in?" And he was like, "Heck yeah!" And we're like, "Yo, let's make it happen." And then from there, we formed the company, the LLC, and we're rocking and rolling ever since.
And how's that going?
It's good, man. So the Seattle,
you're in year 3,
this will be year 3.
Year 3.
So Seattle All-Star Classic, for us, it checks a lot of boxes off for a lot of things, right? So we're a platform. It's where sports and entertainment has a huge emphasis or a huge impact in brown and black communities, right? Kids, little league, it's always sports. We should be pushing more education, but unfortunately, it's a lot of sports, right?
Well, it's a vehicle that could be used for education.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this platform allows us to use the power of sports and entertainment to help impact the community, right? So we partner with multiple nonprofits. They can use this event as a fundraiser to help for fundraising. We created a community initiative called Filling the Gap, which takes it a step further, where we partner with up to 5 nonprofits and we help them from top to bottom, and from getting everything they can out of this event: the marketing, the fundraising, procuring items like autograph items that they can use for later dates or galas and all. So and the whole term "filling the gap" is most nonprofits operate with about 3 or 4 staff and then a bunch of volunteers.
Yeah.
And that 3 or 4 staff have to do everything. They have to control the programs. They got to fundraise. They got to do this. They got to do that. Every year I get a phone call from a multitude of nonprofits. "Hey, I know you're connected with such and such. Do you think you can get us an autographed XYZ? Yeah. Do you think we can get such and such to come to our event? Do you think?" And I'm like, you don't want to, I don't want to be bugging people asking them this stuff, but
it's that fine balance of abusing your access.
Exactly. Yeah. So with creating this platform, what we do is, all right, I'm bringing all these celebrities, right? Our goal, so the product on the field, we have a celebrity guest or a celebrity host every year, right? Year 1 was DK Metcalf, did amazing. Year 2, Geno Smith. This year we have Jackson Smith and Jigma, who was the first round draft pick of the Seahawks last year out of Ohio State. Future superstar, all right? They bring a couple of their friends, and then we build the product on the field, athletes with ties to Seattle. So either you were a high school athlete here, you did college, at UW or Wazoo or something, or you're a professional here. And athlete, celebrity, all the same. But it's people who have ties to the Pacific Northwest, we bring them back, and they're the talent on the field. So they get to see fans, like Buda Baker. Buda Baker went to Bellevue High School. He's played at University of Washington, played his entire pro career in Arizona. Right?
Okay.
The likelihood, So as a pro in Arizona, his football camps are more likely going to be in Arizona. The things he do is going to be at a fan base in Arizona. So bringing him back to the Seattle, Pacific Northwest to be part of an event is huge, because his fans don't get to see him that often.
Yep.
Right. Miles Jack is another one. He plays for the Steelers. So we try and bring these guys back. Keely Ringo, he's with the Eagles. Right. We try and bring these guys back so that the local fan base can see him, because they're like, dude, we saw you in high school, man. Even though you play for that other team now, we're fans, right?
You got Zach, what's his name, Levine?
Zach Levine. We haven't got NBA guys are hard to get a hold of, man, because they come right off the season, and then a lot of those guys are resting up or going to Europe, and it's an Olympic year. It's hard to get a hold of these NBA guys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, fellas, holla at your boy. Let's do this. But so the platform is like giving those guys an opportunity to come back, and for that celebrity host, we're doing all the heavy lifting, right? So, Geno Smith is here. He's in the community, but he doesn't have, his team is based, I think in Florida, right? So management team, agent. So if he wants to host his own celebrity softball game here, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. We already have the infrastructure. So we've already built this platform where these athletes can talk to us, plug and play, right? We've started with softball. The goal is to be able to add multiple events throughout the year and just be that platform for them. So now we're serving athletes and celebs. We're serving the community, right? And nonprofits, right? And then the third is a platform for local businesses, right? If we have several teams in the Seattle marketplace, to sponsor those teams is astronomical. It could be a big check if you want to be in the room with a Geno or even the Sounders or the Kraken or what. Our event is community-based. We want smaller size businesses to have an opportunity to market alongside these guys and build their stuff, right? So your company sponsored an inning, right? But I mean, the photos and the imagery you have of that, all the digital assets with your company logo, it can make you appear bigger than you really are. It does a lot of
priceless
things. So those are the opportunities we provide. So for us, the Seattle All-Star Classic is a platform that checks a lot of boxes, helps the community, puts on for fundraising and all that, helps small businesses, and then as well a plug and play platform for athletes and celebrities.
Yeah, and it's also a good opportunity for, if you think about your business, right, you create entertainment. So you have advertisers that can participate in an accessible format, and then you have your polo event, which is more higher end.
Yeah, I call it the C-suite party,
where you get bigger companies to participate.
Yep. So, for us, we were mindful with the Seattle All-Star Classic. We partnered with the Cheney Stadium in Tacoma. So the event is in South Sound, and we were purposeful in that. In the Seattle region, Seattle is expensive. I think there was an article that just came out that said there's 1 out of every 12 people you walk past in Seattle is a millionaire, right? Over 54,000 and change millionaires in Seattle right now. The cost of living has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Majority of the brown.
Yeah, and we don't even get sun 365 days out.
Serious. Yeah. They build their own sunshades.
They should do like a discount, a rain discount.
on rent?
on everything.
On everything. Serious. But Black and brown and BIPOC communities are all being forced to South Sound. So for us, if you're not in the Seattle marketplace, that means the core of Seattle, Bellevue, the east side is where all the money is. And if you're not in a programmer in tech or salesman, or if you're support staff, you're commuting 15 to 20 miles just to get to work.
And that translates to 2 hours.
And that translates to 2 hours in traffic, just to be real. So I think you have to make $190K a year, is it, in Seattle? What that number is?
I think more than that.
It's it's a large number. So
because you're forgetting taxes.
Yeah, they take 30 off the rip. So
and then another 10 for sales tax. So really it's 40.
It's 40 off. Well, more because you already pay tax on the stuff you're getting taxed on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But we won't get into
won't get into that. But
we love America.
We hosted it. I know. I love when you say that, bro. So that's when you flash that up. Just have it. Boom, love America.
Love America.
Okay. All right. End of rant. Love America. So we're purposeful about hosting the event in Tacoma, right? Because that's predominantly where a lot of the military, we have JBLM, which is a huge military base down there, but then a lot of families are moving down in that way.
Yeah.
To come to most sporting events in Seattle, they have to drive to Seattle 45 minutes to an hour maybe, then pay Seattle prices, $60 to park, $70 to park.
It's at least $1,000 for a family of four.
It can be up there. It can be, depending on where you're trying to sit and where you're trying to go. So for us, we do an event down at a AAA ballpark in Tacoma. It's a $35 ticket. You can bring your family of four. It's affordable. Pricing for parking is like $10. And a ballpark, it holds 6,000, 7,000. So there's not a bad seat.
Definitely not
it's
a bad
fun.
seat.
So
Yeah.
it's amazing experience, but people can afford to go and attend and not break their bank.
Yeah, and still see the stars
and see all the stars
they
that
see on
a lot of them
TV.
get priced out of.
Yeah.
I go through our social media and it's like, hey, please bring such and such. I didn't get to meet him last year. I love to meet him, because at the end of the game, you've seen this, we let the kids on the field to get autographs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the experience. You're paying to come watch these guys suck at softball, but you get autographs and photos and access that you would not get at a Seahawks game or a Mariners game or what. And that's the goal of it. It's like putting on for the community, right?
Yeah.
When these kids have, even these adults, I tell you, the adults sometimes are funnier than the kids. Like they get their shirt autographed or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my god!"
As a kid, they couldn't participate in this because
So, the whole goal of that is eliminating barriers.
Mm-hmm. I think that's important in this day and age, because there's more and more you're seeing a greater divide between the haves and have-nots.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
the pandemic sped that up too.
Oh, absolutely, and it's getting worse. But I think we all have. I firmly believe we all have a responsibility to do stuff and do good. Some do it just by cutting a check. Others do it by showing up. Right.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that, like, my purpose for being here is to help others.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I would not be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for someone that took an interest in me.
Yeah.
Right. I had a guy,
and the opportunities that were given.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I had a guy, Bruce Berry, right? I have to tell this story. Bruce Berry's like my big bro, my guy. He's currently the track coach at Rutgers, Newark. Bruce went to my high school years prior, ran track at Alabama, went to like the Olympic trials and all. He was a beast, complete athlete. My freshman year in high school, I went to state.
Yeah.
And the high jump, hurdles. And I didn't even show up to track practice. I was the guy that would show up at track practice, right? And they'd be like, "Go home and get your uniform. We have a meet today." Oh, my bad. And then I go to the meet and I'd win. Like I just did it because
so it was just like naturally.
It was cute girls.
Yeah.
It was cute girls at track. They wore short shorts.
They put the girl up over the thing. And
they didn't even have to do that. They didn't even have to do that. But again, I was what are you 14 years old as a freshman?
That's Bruce Berry.
Yes, that's Bruce right there.
Yeah,
that's my guy. I love that guy.
He's at Rutgers.
Yeah. So when I say I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that guy, so Bruce, he literally, I remember when he got hired, they had the team meeting and I brought him in and I had an umbrella. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was a freshman, played varsity as a freshman in football, right? Played varsity as a freshman at tailback, free safety. Okay. Tailback, free safety. I was an athlete, got to sit bench varsity as a freshman. I played JV and some varsity and basketball, right? So I went out for baseball because everybody went out for baseball. I suck at baseball. Got cut.
So that's why you do softball.
I got cut, right? And I didn't get cut because I sucked.
Yeah.
I got cut. The baseball coach, Urbanski, looked me in the face and he was like, "Listen, the head coach Sariano told me that he wants you to run track, and I think it'd be good for you to go run track." Only team I've ever been cut from. Right.
Yeah.
So I went and ran track again, half-assed it. Sophomore year, Bruce comes in, the coach, and I'm sitting at the beginning meeting, being cool, and I had an umbrella with a little clicker on it.
Yeah.
So I'm clicking the umbrella, and I just hear, "Click that umbrella one more again." I'm like, who he talking to?
Yeah.
Right. And then we had this little animosity thing because in my head, I'm like, I went to state as a freshman. Who are you? So this dude, I want to talk about being humbled. Coldest thing ever. Mind you, we're in Jersey, so it's cold. We have indoor track in Jersey. So in the wintertime, you can run indoor track. So we have hurdles set up in the high school hallway, right? And I don't know, I'm mouthing off saying something. He's like, "I will beat you to the first hurdle." High school hurdles are 39s. College and internationals are 42s, right? He was in jeans and Timbs. He was wearing Timberland boots and jeans, got in the blocks and walked me to the first hurdle. Yeah. From that moment on, I shut up and just listened, like, "Sir, yes, sir." Like those who can do, those who can't, talk about those who can.
Yeah.
Stole that one from Denzel. But he's the reason. Like he created a track club. I used to travel with them and go. Like I was in high school competing against collegiates.
Wow.
and placing and winning. And that's how I got on the map. And I mean, a lot of crazy stories with that guy, but he was the one in charge of all my recruiting trips. You know,
Okay.
I took trips to Kansas State, Tennessee, UW, Houston, and I'm missing one.
So what made you choose UW?
At 18 years old,
Yeah,
you know,
because you traveled
all right,
to multiple colleges.
so, Clemson was the last one. All right.
Or was this like the movie? What's that movie where they? Oh,
Nah, they wouldn't give me checks like that. But
okay.
so the
This
real
is-
answer,
This is pre.
Yeah. Yeah, we weren't. I wasn't
Getting
yeah.
paid.
I was nice. I wasn't that nice. The honest answer.
Yeah.
At 18, I was so fed up with New Jersey. Like my parents and I were always butting heads.
Okay.
Right. Growing up with immigrant parents. Right.
Mhm.
At home, I'm Haitian, but in the world, I'm American. But then,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? There's always that dynamic of like, you know, and you probably experienced this. Like your mom is always right.
Yeah.
Even when she's wrong, you could tell, you could show her,
Yeah.
like, dude, 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
You said it was 6. She'll look at you and
Yeah.
almost slap you in the face for correcting her. Like that was the dynamic, right? And you get older and you just like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
So UW was the furthest from New Jersey I can get, and it was paid for. And it was a proverbial FU at the time. Best decision I made, because
Uh-huh.
you look back, it was probably one of the best schools of my choices from
Uh-huh.
an academic standpoint. But at 18 or 17, turning 18, it was
Yeah.
like, FU, I'm out. I'm going
Right.
to UW. I'm going to Seattle, Washington. Ain't nothing you could say
So
about it.
extra 2-3 hours more of flight.
My sister
Yeah.
went to Lehigh, which is like a 2.5 hour drive from our house.
Mm,
My parents were on campus like once a month.
once a month.
I was like, yeah, y'all not doing that to me. So that's initially why I chose UW. And then I just fell in love with it. Like I
Yeah.
liked it. Like my first year, I was kind of iffy because it was like raining all the time and all that. But I have no fallback plan.
Mhm.
I'm 3,000 miles away from home at 18. You grow up quick.
Yeah.
There's no fallback. So you figure it out.
Otherwise, you buy a ticket.
Buy a ticket.
Go
I
back
mean,
home.
I'm not, you got to take my scally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not giving it up to go somewhere else and pay for it.
So as a NCAA athlete, D1 at one of the top schools in the nation, what are your thoughts with the whole NIL today as it's starting to play out?
Think they purposely let it be a shit show
Yeah,
so that they can walk it back and be like, we tried, haha.
Yeah,
It could have been rolled out way better.
because students are transferring like it's professional sports.
So NIL is not the issue, in my opinion. I think collectives are the issue.
now. Mm.
So collectives
So
are
what's a collective?
a collective essentially, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, boosters in these companies, local companies, they all get together, they
Mhm.
create a collective, right? And they're the ones that are coming up with this big money. NIL, name and likeness just means, hey, you're a popular player. I'm
Mhm.
going to give you free pizzas once a week if you post about my pizzeria on your social media. Most companies doing those kind of, and they're not, these players aren't making $1 million deals.
So why isn't the school coming out of their own pocket? Because they have their sponsors. They get
Because that money,
revenue share.
Yeah, that money's
and
gone.
whatnot.
That money's gone, man. Those fancy stadiums,
Yeah.
those $5 million a year coaching salaries, you know, the lights, the glitz,
Mhm.
that money, everything that happens on upper campus. I mean, simple math equation. You take the average cost of in-state, out-state tuition, multiply it by the number of students on campus, and then on the other column have the salaries of all the tenured professors, non-tenured professors, teaching assistants, support staff, facilities,
So they're not
building maintenance.
profiting as much as we think.
The school, I mean, they're subsidized by government. I think I think the athletic department pays football and basketball are the only two revenue sports.
Mm.
They pay for track, soccer, baseball, swimming, golf, every other team down there that is traveling. You can say thank you to basketball and football, primarily football in most schools, right? They're paying for everything. So when track has to go on 6 trips and you're flying out 60 kids and they all got to go in hotel rooms and all that, again, track's not, I mean, they might make a couple $1,000 on some track meets here and there, but they don't make that kind of money. So that's all football, but football funds the entire athletic department.
Okay.
And then money funnels up to upper campus.
So going back to your thoughts, right?
And NIL is not an issue. I think name and likeness, if you're like video games and doing that, there should be some kind of revenue or something coming to you. It's the other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the other stuff. The collectives that come together, a bunch of boosters, they come together and they're like, hey, we got this pool of money, so we go offer this kid $800,000 to come here or $400,000 to come here, right? Because in reality, I don't think those kids will ever see that money. They won't. You got them there, and that's the problem. Like these kids the kid in Florida State is suing because he was promised like $3 million or $13
so it's not
million.
like, okay, he signs the program and they give him a check.
It can be on the lower end. I mean, if they're saying they're giving you $200K. So how did that
kid not get that money?
Some booster, he's suing Florida. Is it Florida or Florida State? Don't quote me. It's one of the schools in Florida. They promised the kid was supposed to, out of high school, have like a $13 million NIL evaluation, right? And he's suing. Yeah, look that up. He's suing the booster and the school because he went there, and the deal was he was supposed to have X amount of dollars deposited, like when he signed. Yeah, it never came.
This guy here.
Yeah, it never came. Right, and then he winded up having to transfer, and he went to Arizona State. Now he lost that. Like, had he not agreed to go there, he might have got maybe a mil or who knows what other amount he would have got from another school. But he went to the highest bidder, and as a result, he lost out on millions. Now he's at Arizona State.
So basically, they just said, "Oh, sorry, we don't have that money."
What are you going to do about it? It's a smoke and mirrors. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of contract or something. I mean, there's people way more knowledgeable than I am on it. But you have more kids right now in the transfer portal trying to get paid than you actually have kids on signed scholarships right now. Okay. So what the portal did, what NIL and this whole portal did is, one, you're going to see high school recruiting go down. So these kids out of high school are losing. Yeah. Because if I'm a coach, I can get a kid who's already got 1 year in a college program. So he knows a class schedule. Yeah. He knows how to be in a weight room. He knows maybe he was in a bad situation or what, but at least he has 1 year experience in college versus a kid who's a 3-star in high school that hopefully develops. We don't know, I'm going to go grab this kid if I can. Yeah. So again, 85 scholarships, I think total. You're going to go to the portal first. And then go to high school, unless you're a mad stud. Like you got to be a 5-star or 4, like I'm a super stud. But that's...
Yeah, I think UW just lost a lot of softball players to the portal.
Softball?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't read about that yet.
8 people.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a whole team. That's crazy. Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's I don't want to be like I'm all on the school side, because for years, I mean, like we were broke. They kept us broke and made a lot of money, right? So I feel like there's got to be a balance between the two. I like the idea. I think it came out in the news a few weeks ago that they're going to pay a salary or pay each student athlete, and it's like a tier system based on where your team is ranked in the last 10 years. I like that idea. I mean, I think you're putting in 40, 50 hours a week. And anyone who comes back, well, you're getting a free education. There ain't nothing free about that education, bro. When you're in the weight room at 6 a.m. And then back at practice at 2, and then study table and you're putting in 12-hour days, there's nothing free about it.
It's work.
It's work. When you leave and you catch that one professor, everyone thinks, oh, you're an athlete. It's easy for you. Dude, I walked in my freshman year. I walked into, I think it was Meany Hall. It was a lecture hall with like 400 people in it, right? It was me and 3 other athletes. I walked in late in the back, and the professor yelled out, Mr. Dambreville, Mr. Towns, glad you could join us. Walked all the way down in front of everybody and sat in front. Name another student, just a student that gets embarrassed like that and has to take it. And it comes with the territory, right? I'm not going to complain about it, but at the same time, the pressures that are on you are not on the general student. You have spring breaks and you can leave. We don't. You have that. You know what I mean? There's like certain things you just can't do, right? So classes you can't take because you got practice at this time. So now you got to take a night class, or you got to figure it out.
What would you study?
Society and justice, minor in sociology.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to go to law school.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Then I started making money.
Yeah. That happens.
It happens. Yeah.
So what are you excited for this year? And then
I mean,
what
upcoming
keeps you
events.
up at night?
Upcoming events. Family. My daughter's now a sophomore at UW. She's
Mhm.
killing the game. She's had a couple quarters on Dean's List, so I love it. I have a 4-year-old that's amazing. I got a my first daddy-daughter dance coming up at the end of the month.
Oh, nice.
So stoked. Like memorizing dances and doing all that. But family, like things that run me. I have some fun stuff in the works I can't talk about yet. I always like to say, don't make the announcement until it's announced, right? So there's some great things. I think the Lord has me in his favor, and we're working on some things for my professional career. But then, with these projects, the Polo Party this year is second Saturday in August 10th, I believe it is. And you can go to seattlepoloparty.org for information on that. And then the Seattle All-Star Classic celebrity softball game is July 8th. And then the website is seattleallstarclassic.com. But those
singular, not plural, right?
Seattle All-Star Classic. Yep.
Yeah.
.com. Yeah. But 2 great events back to back come up for a little bit of air, and then there's still projects. I get the occasional call from one of my corporate partners like, hey, we have an idea for an event. Say yes and figure it the fuck out. So, but yeah, we're doing that. But just life, man. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Just every year, if you're not taking on a new challenge that forces you to grow and challenge yourself, then why are you even doing it? And I find myself every year saying yes to something that low key scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I figure it out, and when I say figure it out, it's not all me. I have a great network of people. I call you from time to time. I have other people I can lean on. I've surrounded myself with a group of people that, like I said earlier, look like my future, not my past. So smart people, you put them in a room, we can usually figure it out.
No, I think that's amazing. So to the young entrepreneur out there, what would you say your top 5 tips are? If they're in that place where they feel like they're not getting opportunity, doors are being closed.
I'll tell you right now, 1, no one cares about your feelings.
Yeah.
Just it. No one cares about your feelings. No, 0. I don't care. You shouldn't even care. Just deal with it. Like the whole, I hate to say suck it up, buttercup and all that. I'm not telling you to, take disrespect and this and that, but understand, people are going to people, right? Get out your feelings, right? 2, a no is just another opportunity. All right. And it's there. I look at it like, if you don't want to do, I take a lot of things personal.
Yeah.
Right? I can remember there's a quote Derek Jeter has. Like, I could tell you, I can remember what you were wearing, what color shoes you had when you said no to me, or you said something, like, it's in my brain. And there's a long list of people who at some point did, and it's in my brain. And it's not that I'm going to do something to personally come back at you, but I love when those people have to come to me for access or whatever. And I just smile and I'm just like, because some of them don't even know that I know what they said, did, or what, and it's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
But it further motivates me, like that whole like hater motivation, whatever. Find things that motivate you. That's what I would. I sum that up to. Find things that motivate you, right? So that's 3. Another one. Pour into you first. I make a habit of waking up at 5 a.m. 3 days a week and going to the gym. Not as a flex, but I know as my day progresses, I get less time. There's meetings that pop up, family stuff that pops up, whatever it is. Pour into you first. Because if you think, if you're 20, no family, then cool. But if you're trying to be an entrepreneur and do things, and you're joining chambers and going to brunches and lunches and getting meetings and getting on calendars and doing the things that need to be done, right? That's often till 7 p.m. Right?
Yep.
Then if you think you're going to the gym then and getting a quality time in, you're not. So wake up, pour into you first. Wake up, do what you need to do, whether it's yoga, go for a bike ride, do whatever, knock it out, take care of, pour into you first, invest in yourself first, right? And then last, trust the process.
Yeah.
I'll add one more. Find you a tribe, man. Don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. We can talk. We talked about LeBron. LeBron brought his core group of dudes with him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're all successful in doing. When you get
who
to
had no experience,
and they learn
Yeah.
a tool or trade, and they're all not killing the game right now,
Mhm.
right? And you'll figure out which ones is worth keeping around and not keeping around. But the goal is, if you travel on this journey by yourself, right? Success is lonely by yourself, right? No one to bounce ideas off. It's lonely. Like, bring people with you
Mhm.
on the journey so that you have that. You all don't have to go in the same path, but at least all going in the same direction.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, how else can people find you? I know we got the Seattle All-Star Classic. We got
Seattle
Polo
Polo.
Party.
That's about it, man.
But if people just want to call you up, find you, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Drew Dambreville, LinkedIn. If you're a company that wants to partner on a project or do something, reach out. Opportunities. So we have some great announcements coming out that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want to put the horse before the carriage.
Yeah.
And then or the carriage before the horse. Sorry. And then my Instagram, if you want some tomfoolery. Drew Ha _ Seattle. Seattle. Oh, you know.
Oh, yeah, you know.
But that's it. I'm simple, man. I've learned to mellow down and be simple.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Great.
Yo, make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button, subscribe button, share button. Support my guy. I've known this guy for 10 years. A little longer than 10 years. Longer than that.
16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah. We started off at AMC kickboxing. It's one of the well-known gyms on the West Coast. And believe it or not, I used to punch him in the face from time to time.
Yeah, I took him down a few times.
It's not on camera. It didn't happen. It's not on camera. It didn't happen.
The world would never know.
Exactly. Oh man, no one knows those that before pre-concussion protocol.
Yeah.
When you just you threw punches till you were bloody.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Yeah, instant feedback.
Instant feedback. Yes. Don't do that again. So awesome, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Bye.